Hey there, everyone. Let's see if this is going to work. I don't know when to start. My name is 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗶𝗶, physical therapist with Run Smart Online. I want to talk to you guys about, if you're an injury-prone runner, this video is for you. I'm going to talk about two different things that I'm seeing quite often in the clinic that are causing runners to really get beat up quite often, and I'm going to share what you need to do to fix that. The first thing I want to do is, if you need some help with your training, there's a link in this post. I have a lot of stuff on there that you can check out that it's going to coincide with what I'm going to teach you today. But the first thing I'm seeing a lot of, and I see a lot of as a physical therapist, is just risky training. And there's this idea that to get faster, you need to run more miles and you need to do speed workouts and things. And here's the thing I got to challenge people who are consistently injured, or if you feel like you're injury prone, is that really your speed doesn't matter if you're constantly running between injuries and you can never get your consistency up. So one of the things I always like to work on with my runners is just the fact that you should not be doing speed and things if you're not running consistently. Speed equals risk. It does equal more speed. Like if you do speed workouts, I know so many runners are like, every Tuesday, that's my speed workout day. I do it week over week over week. But if you're consistently getting injured, I would actually challenge you to walk back all your speed workouts and just be running long, slow distance, that LSD distance, and not even long, just running slow distance or slow runs, because what you need to do is you need to prep your body. Too many runners are running from injury to injury, and it's causing a lot of problems with the ability to be consistent. And here's the secret, is if you can just stay consistent, the runners who are the most consistent will just get faster by running. What doesn't make you faster is when you have these large fluctuations in your running because you're constantly having to ramp and then get a little issue going on and then bring it back down and bring it back up to play catch up. That stuff won't get you faster. What you should be looking for is consistency of training. So one of the things I always do is just ask my runners to pull back a lot on their speed work, just shut that stuff right down and just get consistent, at least for 1, 2, maybe 3 months. And you'll find that you'll actually just be faster because you're running. And it's actually kind of cool because the whole point of you running is to stay on the roads. And when you're constantly on the sidelines, right now it's not too big of a deal because a lot of races are canceled. But if you're consistent on the sidelines hurt, not only just driving around, you see everyone in the world running. I don't know if anyone else experiences that when you're hurt. You're like, oh my God, like there are a lot of runners out here. What is going on? But it stinks to be hurt all the time. And so I always talk about managing risk. You should manage your risk if you're injury prone. In fact, I've seen a lot of runners do really well with just taking speed work out, because whenever they add it in, it just puts them over the hump of getting injured. And then you're on an elliptical or you're on a spin bike forever and it's not running. So I really challenge you guys to minimize your risk. A lot of hill work, especially downhills. Like downhills will tear you apart if you're injury prone, but also a lot of speed work. Like every Tuesday speed workout day, I would just tell you to go base pace. Run a whole training plan base pace. And I think you'll be surprised at what can happen. I've actually seen it work quite well with my runners over 50 who are really struggling with a lot of injuries. I just had them run a whole training plan base pace and they got really great results. Because the other way, what they were doing prior was they were limping their way into the race or missing large blocks of time with their training. So first thing is managing your risk. The second thing is building your reserves. And that's what I want to show you here, because this is about building your strength. And if you haven't figured out, injury-prone runners, you can't just run all the time. I don't know if anyone can tell me in the comments. Maybe you guys already figured this out, but you have to supplement your running, especially as you get older. I don't work a lot with professional athletes. I did a little bit of work prior, and I actually didn't enjoy it that much. I rather work with runners who are front, middle, back of the packers. That's kind of my sweet spot. And as a runner who is getting older, over the age of 40, 50, definitely 50 and 60, that's who I work with the most. And I found great success if you can build your strength reserves. And what that means is if you're like a 4-day-a-week runner and you're injury prone, if you're running really well, you can just add this into the mix, or you can find some way to work it in because it still works for you. But if you're a 4-day-a-week runner and you're consistently hurt, I would actually challenge you to remove 1 run a week. If you're a 5-day-a-week runner and you're consistently injured, I challenge you to move 1 of those runs out. I know you're not going to like that, and supplement it with strength training. But here's the thing with the strength is it's got to be the right stuff. A lot of runners are doing the wrong things. I ask runners when they come in and sit with me, when they come in for their physical therapy appointment, of what they're doing. And there's a good chunk of people who are doing nothing, and then there's a good chunk of people who are doing completely stuff that are completely wasting their time and not helpful. And I want to share that with you because I always use this term called runner specific. And I think if you guys can grasp this term of runner specific, it'll really help. I'm going to show a runner here that we have that has submitted some form analysis for us and just show you some of the things that we look for, but also most importantly, understand what is runner specific strength. It's not by doing, leg lifts on the side and clamshells. This might be embarrassing. I actually have sweatpants on down here. So I'm not going to do any kind of exercises because I'm one of those guys that probably doesn't wear pants in a meeting when they're on a live call. I do have pants on. It's kind of weird to say, but so I want to show you this runner and just get your wheels turning on like what exercises are right for you. And it comes down to your foot needs to be on the ground. So let me show you this runner quick. And you'll see it happen in real time here. So I'm just going to let this play through at real full speed. And this is typically what we see with most runners. I'm just going to show you some of the compensations that this runner has. And the first thing you'll notice is kind of a tipping towards the right. This is usually a compensation for some hip weakness here, maybe a little bit of arthritis in the hip. We're going to talk about how the strength works with this. And then you're going to see when he goes to the other side, and he lands here, you're going to see that he tips the other way, right? So he tips the other way to protect this hip. But when we look at the strength training aspects of this, this is what I need you guys to understand is that, let me see if I can move this around a little bit, is this position right here, zoom out, this position right here is how you should be thinking about your strength training. Notice the foot's on the ground and the weight is over the foot, right? So when you're doing strength training laying on the ground, we call it like open chain, meaning your foot's not connected to the ground, it's open. That stuff does not carry over very well to the road and to running. Like if you're gonna strength train and you hate it already, or maybe you do like it, you still wanna get the maximum benefit. You don't wanna waste your time with strength training. So here's the challenge for you is to make it runner specific. When we do strength training, we always make sure, or we do our best to make sure that we're in this posture that he's holding right now. So you're standing on your left foot. Hell, even if you like to do like bicep curls, shoulder presses, great stuff like that, I challenge you guys to stand on one foot because when we look at the key thing for injury-prone runners is that they need to maximize strength in two areas. I always talk about glute strength, but I want to spring one more area on you. Pelvis stability, the ability to control your pelvis is the key thing for running health. There's certainly a ton of other things that you can do to improve your running, but if you're injury prone, this is the best place to attack. So we're gonna talk about the glute. I talk about this all the time because this muscle pulls down on the pelvis. And I'm gonna share one other muscle here with you in a second, or muscle group, muscle area. So here's the pelvis coming across. So what we're trying to do with that glute here is we're trying to prevent the pelvis from dropping. So let's just go ahead and do this. I'm trying to prevent this pelvis from dropping. So he's doing a couple things to offset his weakness. I talked about him doing this and leaning over to the left. That's a compensation for the weakness on the side. But here's what I want you guys to know is it's not just weakness in that left glute. The stability from your pelvis is two-sided. So you have strength on that left side of the glute, but you also have strength over here. And I'm gonna tell you why here in a second, but you can see how these muscles would counteract and stabilize the pelvis. One side's pulling down on it, one side's pulling up to keep it nice and level. If there's weakness, you'll see a compensation, which is a lean. So here's the compensations when your glutes are weak or your core is weak, and I'm gonna talk about that in a minute, is you like to lean or you like to drop. Those two things are something that torch every single runner, whether they're injury prone or not. It will bring on a lot of things. So when we talk about the exercises that you need to do to build your strength reserves, you should be focusing everything inside this box. Let me make this very clear. There's other things to work on, but if you're gonna do anything, you need to be focused on inside this box. So what's in here? You have your glutes, you have your low back muscles, your abdominal muscles, the muscles on the side. And what I find is when people are doing strength training and they're trying to train these muscles, they're not working on the proper way. Their foot's not on the ground. They're not in this position. Like if you're gonna strength train, you wanna be, again, in that position, doing different types of movements, maybe some single leg squatting if it's okay on the knee. But then you want to work on stability through your core. And a lot of people runners don't realize this, or people in general don't realize that your core's whole responsibility is to stabilize your pelvis and stabilize your spine. It's not like a huge mover and twister. So we do like to get people on the ground to try to push force into the low back and push force into the spine and pelvis and work on stabilizing. The exercise that I see people skipping the most is side planks. side planks is a great way, and you might argue that, okay, well, side planks don't look anything like this, but the forces acting on your spine do, and there actually are ways to get out of a side plank and do some harder stuff to stabilize. The only time we get people off their feet to start with their core, but the glute strength, you should be in this position, trying to stand on it, and then your core. So many runners, if they do planks, maybe you can raise your hand with that little emoji guy, you know, or gal that raises her hand. Side planks are the one things that people skip all the time, and it is something that fires that outside hip. So the side planks will attack this area, let's see here, that I talked about, and a lot of your single leg work will attack this area. So everything inside this box is what you're going after. And if you do that, and maybe you remove a run, maybe you're just adding in. It can literally be two 30-minute workouts a week. Not only is it going to carry over into your running, but it's going to carry into the rest of your life so that you are getting out of bed and not like all hunched over. You're not throwing your back out all the time. Your knees aren't as sore. Strengthening these areas are the most important thing. You'd be surprised, actually, when I put someone in this position, how many runners can't even stand on one foot and their balance is so bad. So think about running, no wonder people are tipping and turning because they can't stabilize. So just to recap, if you're just joining me, if you're an injury-prone runner and you're trying to break that cycle, you're going to pull back on risky activity. The first thing you're going to pull back on is you're going to pull back on all your speed work. You're going to work on just a lot of base running so you can be consistent. You will just get faster if you can stay consistent and not fluctuate and ebb and flow between injury and not injured. And the second thing you do is you're going to build your reserves. You're going to build your reserves in your glute strength, your core strength, and you're going to try to do that in standing for your glute. And then a lot of times we like to do that on the ground for the core because it does give you the force mechanisms that running gives on your spine and in your pelvis. So if you need some help with this, there actually is a link in this post. We have a ton of workouts that I use every day as a physical therapist that target these areas. You're looking for base 3 and base 6 boot camp. We have a $1 trial for 2 weeks. You can go in and test them out. This is the stuff that we've been using a lot with our runners. We have a ton of people coming on because COVID and you can't even get to a gym now, but this is the perfect time to start fixing some of these imbalances, especially on the strength side. So if you want a little help, go to the link in the post. I'll actually post it in the comments here in a minute. It's simple. Just go to tryrunsmart.com. You can check it all out there. But perfect time to focus on this stuff, guys. Don't let it go, especially if you're injury prone, because this will make a difference in your running. I've seen it every day as a physical therapist. And stay away from clamshells. Stay away from leg lifts. Get away from that stuff. Maybe it's okay first thing, but long term, it's just a waste of your time. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great night, and bye-bye.